There was a case where a cop killed a dog, shot a dog, and nothing happened to them. I mean, they're killing humans and nothing's happening to them. So I mean, this is the lack of empathy, the lack of care and concern is really. Plus, your job is not to handle dogs. Call animal control. You see loose dogs, call animal control. They come and catch the dog. They take them to the shelter, and hopefully their owners come and collect them. If there was such an issue that you couldn't get to the door because there was a dog there, and obviously it was a small dog, because he's not doing that to a Rottweiler, you better believe it. That was gonna be some small little guy, probably like 30 pounds or something, getting worked by this guy's big old boot. It's just horrible.
Why not? Yeah, why not call animal control? I have a feeling they could probably, first of all, they know how to deal with it. And presumably they would do it not by trying to kill the dog.
And the dog wasn't attacking him. It seemed like he was cornering the dog on the dog's porch.
And apparently was at his, from what the homeowner is saying. And again, with these sorts of stories, immediately we have to go by what these different groups are saying. We don't know for sure, but the homeowner is saying that was my dog in front of my house, and a cop ran up and began beating the dog. Maybe we'll find out. We'll see if the police department ends up.
You know what? Dogs get let out and they get loose and they run around sometimes, and that doesn't mean you just go and kick them. And in fact, there are laws against animal abuse, and that's exactly what that was. And in fact, before there were child abuse laws, there were animal abuse laws that were actually used in place to protect children, because that was the first laws that we had. So these laws have been enacted for a long time. You can't abuse animals. You can't dismember animals. You can't. This is what this guy's doing. He could have killed this dog. We don't even know if this dog's okay.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, as of at least right now, the updates don't have any information about whether the dog survived that attack or what condition it would be in. I would imagine rough condition. You can't do that to dogs and then they just bounce back. That's not how that works.
There was a lot of venom he had. He was very angry, that man. That guy's dangerous. I don't think all cops are
like this.
Yeah, we do. We find people who are angry, control freak, psychopath, narcissists, and we give them guns and badges. And I think we need to figure out, how do we start bringing people in for law enforcement? Because I think the police situation we have now is not working. They are killing people. They are hurting people. They are biased. We need to figure out another method, and this isn't it. This is just another example of we are really attracting the wrong people to that position.
Yeah, and by the way, not everyone is like that in the police. We shouldn't have to say that, but we'll say it again. But if you are not, it is on you to stand up against those who are.
Yeah, there was a guy behind him.
It should bother you. Wait, exactly. And we were gonna go into this next story about this individual in a wheelchair being shot multiple times. There was another cop there, didn't react at all, as if anything wrong had happened. If you're a cop, it should bother you so much that people like this wear the uniform and make you look like a crazy psychopath by the affiliation with them. And yet most of these cops don't seem to have a problem with it.
They did, man.
Thankfully, that guy has been fired. Do you generally just lose your job when you murder someone? That's not usually what happens.
The victim is still dead.
Exactly. Okay, unfortunately, we are out of time. We're not gonna get to that full story, but Viviana, as always, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
It was a real sad story to end on, John, but thank you so much. I appreciate your insight and everything that you guys do here at TYT and the Damage Report. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
We really should have ended on the Alex Jones story. But first of all, wait, you said that you had something you wanted to promote.
No. No.
Oh, do you not? Okay. Well, where can people watch your work?
You can check me out on Twitter and on Instagram, Viviana Vigil _ on Instagram, but you'll find me. And you can check out my show Contextualize This, which is on hiatus right now, but we'll be gearing up again at the beginning of the year.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm very glad to hear that. Well, thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks, John.
For those of you at home, Indisputable is coming up in just a few minutes. Nina Turner herself is going to be joining Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Albert Eisenberg is going to be on for debate as well. So don't go anywhere unless you're watching on YouTube, in which case go to youtube.com/indisputable_TYT. Also, if you wanted to go to my Twitter account and retweet those tweets with Pitmat in them, but not like them, that would be great. Would love for this opportunity to bear some sort of fruit. But anyway, thank you everybody for watching. I do want to remind you too, as always, tomorrow we're gonna be throwing away our garbage people of the week. I have a bit of an inkling who my garbage person is gonna be, but you get a chance to choose one as well. So if you go to the community tab of our YouTube channel and scroll down a bit, you'll see our poll. You can vote and help us choose who's gonna end up in the trash tomorrow with Brett Ehrlich. But until then, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
Welcome. It's indisputable. Good to be with you. We got a lot of show today. Breaking down news of the day with me, none other than Senator Nina Turner, former Ohio State Senator, TYT contributor, and all around great individual. Also, Bullpen, my debate segment. I will be with Albert Eisenberg, commentator of Young Voices. We're going to chop it up about a couple of things, all right? All right, top story of the day. Kyle Rittenhouse is no longer at Arizona State University. But the truth is, he probably wasn't there in the first place. He just lied, okay? So here's the background. We covered this initially when students decided to protest his attendance at their institution. They have the right to do that. Kyle Rittenhouse, who testified last month, okay? Remember, this is on the record. He testified last month at his homicide trial that he was a student. Keep that in mind, that he was a student studying nursing at Arizona State University. He's no longer enrolled at the school, according to a report from the Phoenix New Times. Let's put up a picture of old Kyle, okay? All right. He lied because according to the institution, he never was an actual student taking nursing classes, but in fact, he was part of a non-credit course, one of those courses you can just sign up online as long as you have an email and a computer, you can sit for a class. Okay, so he wasn't a student. He lied about that. He also, according to his attorney, lied about being a medic when he was in Kenosha. He lied about that too. He lied about his credentials. He told people that he was in fact a trained medic. Another lie, all right? Not sure why this prosecutor, when allowed, did not call Kyle Rittenhouse out on his character. He did not. All right, here's something else. Put up the picture of Kyle Rittenhouse flashing what looks to be a white power symbol, okay? Now, for me, if I'm an administrator of a university or professor or director, which by the way I am, that's enough for me to say hell to the no. That student will not be on our campus because that's contrary to the anti-discriminatory clause of the federal government that we must adhere to because we are an institution that accepts federal aid. See how easy that is for me to do? Any other college, university professor can do something very similar. So he's no longer there according to the new narrative. Rittenhouse, who was found not guilty, Rittenhouse, who was found not guilty. I just would like for him to have been found guilty on self-defense grounds earlier this month for shooting and killing 2 people and wounding of a third during a protest in Kenosha, August 2020, said in an interview with Tucker Carlson on Fox News that he planned to attend classes on campus. After his testimony, Arizona State University said he was a non-degree student enrolled in classes at the school. They also said he was not part of the nursing program whatsoever, as he indicated during the trial. It was a lie. He was not part of that program. A number of student groups on campus mounted protests against Rittenhouse's enrollment at the university, which is one of the largest in the state. He's out of there, according to the narrative. Now, we had a poll at TYT. I think that poll is still active. TYT.com/polls. Yeah, /Rittenhouse -rejected. Do you think he should be gone? Not just from ASU, but any other institution, all right? We're now in the court of public opinion. I understand people say, well, he has certain rights. Okay, fine, he does in the court of law. He does, absolutely 100%. But he's in the court of public opinion here, okay? We get to utilize common sense, not just what Judge Schroeder allows us to see. Senator Turner, what are your thoughts here?
The white gang sign, I mean, you really laid it out, Doc, is very troubling. And it should be troubling to anyone. I will also say that this cannot just be about that trial. And as you have laid out, this is not just about the trial. It is about how he comports himself, period. And that he would be somebody that would be a student unbecoming and therefore should not be allowed to be enrolled in Arizona State. My only caution there is that if it is about his gang sign and not necessarily the trial, because that kind of thing can boomerang. There might be somebody else on trial that we believe should have the opportunity to attend a college or a university. And if they don't have any of that other stuff swirling around them, then quite certainly they should be able to be enrolled. So I just say we gotta be a little careful because these kinds of things can boomerang the other way as well.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And in my research of the rules, the reason why the Kyle Rittenhouse signal, his white supremacy signal allegedly, would be a no-no to a college administrator is because of the federal government's financial aid clause that says if you accept financial aid, you also have to create an environment to protect individuals in protected classes. So you as an institution would be at risk of losing financial aid if in fact the behavior of a student or potential student has been deemed to be discriminatory based on race, gender, and or sexual orientation. So this doesn't cover let's say if somebody is a former Paru blood, it would not cover them based on the statutory language. However, I get your point, Senator, because we have seen individuals in the application of law try to create bias and expand the actual wording of the statute. So I get what you're saying 100%.
That's exactly right. But you laid it out for them. And then what else is troubling too is how he was able to puff up his resume to make it seem as though he was more than what he really was professionally. And it was another way to kind of whitewash is coming to mind, you know, but to really make him seem very upstanding. It was well, it was more than an exaggeration. He flat out lied. So there we are.
Yep. Let me bring everyone's attention to a reality that nobody wants to hear, but it's the truth. There are members of Congress who want to see other members of Congress dead. They want them killed, okay? I'm gonna lay it out to you plainly as I can. Let me first show you this video of Representative Omar. Here it is.
I'm going to play you a voicemail that we received hours after I got off the phone with Representative Boebert after she posted her video.
We see you, Muslim son of a bitch. We know what you're up to. You're all about taking over the country. Don't worry, there's plenty that will love the opportunity to take you off the face of the earth. Come get it, bitch, you Muslim piece of shit, you jihadist. We know what you are. You're a traitor. You will not live much longer, bitch. I can almost guarantee you that. These people are rising up, and you will be tried for a military tribunal, and you will be found guilty.
Representative Omar is a remarkable woman and a great representative for her district and an asset to the United States of America. I've had the pleasure of interviewing her multiple times on my radio program. So let me show you the cause and effect relationship to why she got that message and other death threats that are coming to her now on a very consistent basis. All right, Lauren Boebert, another US Congressperson, right? Has gone on this anti-Muslim rant against her and others. She has not played by the rules, okay? I'm gonna explain those rules in a minute. Let me remind everyone that Representative Omar said Tuesday that she has reported hundreds, let me say that again, hundreds of threats on my life, often triggered by Republican attacks on my faith, and added that she's seen an increase this week. Well, did the increase come from? It came from the statement of Representative Boebert. That's how it happened, okay? Cause and effect. These are the original comments made by the Representative Boebert that preceded these death threats. I look to my left and there she is, Ilhan Omar. And I said, well, she doesn't have a backpack. We should be fine. Boebert said to her audience, some of whom applauded. Boebert added, and I said, oh, look, the jihad squad decided to show up for work today. They're sick. A video was released this week of Boebert making similar comments in September. Let's go to the next video. Here it is.
One of my staffers on his first day with me got into an elevator in the Capitol. And in that elevator, we were joined by Ilhan Omar. Well, it was just us three in there, and I looked over and I said, well, look at there, it's the jihad squad. Yeah. I do have to say, she wasn't dropping and running, so we're good.
Here's what I want you to see. This is part of her stump speech. It's not a mistake she made in one speech. It's not something that she just thought maybe it was not offensive, so she just made this thing one time happen. No, she says it on a regular basis. We have multiple recordings of her saying the exact same thing and not caring about the repercussion. afterwards, all right? So Omar says that encounter never happened. That whole elevator thing, completely made up, all right? So there was a call between Representative Omar and Boebert. This call was supposed to help resolve some of this conflict, right? And an apology was supposed to be presented to Representative Omar. The conversation with Boebert sought after issuing a statement last Friday, offered an opportunity to extend an olive branch in a house riven by tension. Instead it ended abruptly after Representative Boebert rejected Representative Omar's request for a public apology. Boebert previously apologized to anyone in the Muslim community I offended, but not directly to Omar. Instead of apologizing for her Islamophobic comments and fabricated lies, Representative Boebert refused to publicly acknowledge her hurtful and dangerous comments, Omar said. She instead doubled down on her rhetoric, and I decided to end the unproductive call. Let me say something that's very sobering. These people, and I mean it when I say these people, Boebert and her crew, they would rather see Representative Omar dead. Now, have you heard a mass movement from the Republican Party saying this is unacceptable? This is wrong. There needs to be a penalty here. Let me show you how deep this is. All of your HR laws that you have to follow, I have to follow, right? You know who created those laws? They did. The US Congress did. We have to follow those rules, those conduct clauses. So you mean to tell me that you can go to the office, make a video about killing one of your coworkers, you can talk about their faith, you can incite others to call them and threaten their life. You can go to the office and absolutely nothing will happen to you if you work for Congress. There's no other job in America that would accept that kind of lunacy, except in the US Congress. They give you rules that they choose not to follow. Senator, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, Doc, lunacy going in and lunacy coming out. They're hypocrites, period. And that's why we have this. You know, Representative Omar is everything that you described her to be. I know her personally. She loves this country. More importantly, she loves justice. And she has been victimized from the moment she was elected. You know, I remember she replaced now Attorney General Keith Ellison. You know, I was right there. So I know this woman, and I just hate so very much that she has to endure this, and also her family. She has children that have to endure this too. And you're right, Doc, I'm glad you laid it on the line. They would rather have her dead. There is something wrong with these people. Colorado, voters' remorse, baby. That's what this comes down to. You guys get to do a do-over. Vote for somebody else. Vote this woman out. And Representative Omar is better than I am, Doc. Because see, it wouldn't have been no call. Because we already know what this woman is about, as you laid out. Or she would have been cussed all the way out. And let her go ahead and play that. Yeah, roll this tape. Because you're about to get cussed all the way out, lady. Because that's all she deserves. She stokes this, and then her non-apology, it wasn't even an apology. Then you start to threaten Representative Omar and tell her what she needs to do when your behind was supposed to be calling her to apologize. These people just don't give a damn, Doc. That is what this comes down to, period. We can't sugarcoat it. Ain't no sugarcoating. And you know what? The Congress needs to hold her accountable. So if the Republicans are not, then the Democrats need to hold her accountable.
Yeah, somebody needs to do something, and they need to do something quickly. We're talking about a real threat. There has to be a response. We're not talking about physical violence or anything like that. We're talking about an appropriate political response inside of a political atmosphere. All right? Exactly. Okay. Liberty University professor. You know Liberty University, the home of all of the Christian evangelical students, right? And their faculty. Well, one of their professors, let's put this guy's picture up. One of their professors has been arrested on suspicion of sexual battery and abduction. That's him. His name is William Atwell, all right? Atwell was arrested by Liberty University police on November 20th and charged with sexual battery and abduction by force or intimidation related to an incident on September 15th, 2021. Atwell, who is listed on Liberty University's website as an associate professor of American Sign Language, has been charged in Lynchburg General District Court. Atwell was released from the Lynchburg Adult Detention Center on Monday after posting how much? A whopping $3,000 bond. Okay? He is set to appear in court January 25th, 2022. In a statement, there's always a statement. In a statement, a school spokesperson said that it takes nothing more seriously than claims that a faculty member has had inappropriate sexual contact with one of our students, something for which there is zero tolerance. We are treating this matter with the utmost seriousness, care, and concern. The statement continued, with the student's consent, the university turned the matter over to the appropriate legal authorities, and the faculty member in question was arrested. The faculty member has also been suspended by the university pending the outcome of this matter. Okay, let's be very clear. This is the same university that decided to back Donald Trump even after he was on recording saying he likes to grab women by the you-know-what. He likes to just go up and start kissing them. He don't ask no questions. That's called sexual assault. Same university that backed him, invited him to be their keynote speaker after those comments were on the record. That's the same university trying to moralize now against one of their professors. Seems like to me he's following the Trump guidebook here, okay? You gave Trump a pass. It's very sad professors of any caliber would take advantage of students on any day of the week. But Liberty University, they're not completely clean here as an institution. Atwell's case comes as Liberty faces multiple lawsuits alleging the university punished students who did what? Reported sexual assault. That sounds more like the Liberty I know. Including one where 12 anonymous women, most of whom are former Liberty University employees or students, claim Liberty, and I quote, enabled on-campus rapes and suppressed complaints of sexual assault and rape. Last month, Liberty University filed a restraining order to bar a former employee from revealing information related to his claim that he was fired for speaking out on the school's failure to properly address sexual assault allegations. Senator?
Attorney General of that state should come on in there.
Yep,
we can't leave Liberty to their own devices here. It is very clear. Just go ahead and follow the breadcrumbs. There's several of them. It's not just one. It's multiple. And so, yeah, I see this as something that the state needs to take up and not leave it to the university. So local jurisdiction, maybe it's the county, but I want to see the AG of that state come on in there and maybe federal. Yeah. You need more because usually these state agencies get involved and other agencies get involved when there's strong conspiracy because you need the investigative manpower to unravel all of that. So I agree with you 100%. Exactly right.
Okay, all right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
So a lot of progressive office holders are doing something fun. I like fun. They're doing the last 2 years in 2 minutes. Okay, we're gonna try it here. First, I wanna let you guys know about the years before that. Hey, remember we started the Just Democrats here on the Young Turks. It was officially launched on our air, basically by you guys. And then we featured AOC, we featured Cori Bush, and Ro Khanna became the first ever Just Democrat incumbent, all on the Young Turks. Now, the last 2 years have been a spectacular follow-up to that. So let's put the 2 minutes on the clock and do this. Young Turks got to start back in 2002, and I think we've been an important part of the progressive movement ever since. What we mainly do is amplify the progressive voice and candidates out there, and I think we've done a pretty good job. Right now, we're currently #1 most engaged news politics network online, beating CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC, all of them. We're #1 in total minutes watched. That means not only the number of people watching, but how long they watch. We just crossed 20 million followers and 500 million monthly views. Now, why? That's because actually the country's progressive. It's 2/3 progressive. And you guys have allowed us to be your voice, and we're incredibly thankful for that. So what did we do with that voice? Well, let's look at 2019. We went all over the country talking to you guys and the candidates. So we were in Miami, we were in Detroit, we were in Houston, and we were in Iowa. In fact, we were all over Iowa. You guys were all over Iowa, and all of the candidates saw you guys. We had wonderful people speaking, like the one and only Nina Turner at our rallies. Bernie Sanders stopped by, Andrew Yang, Elizabeth Warren. We interviewed almost everyone on the campaign trail, with the exception of Biden and Buttigieg. And we held them accountable. We even did a progressive economic pledge, and so many wonderful people signed on to that. Bernie Sanders, Warren, Marianne Williamson, AOC, the entire squad, Justice Democrats, and so many others. Now, on top of all that, we started a show called The Conversation, where we featured so many progressive thinkers, writers, and candidates. And one of the candidates we featured in 2019 was Jamal Bowman. Here comes Jamal Bowman. Then we had an amazing 2020. We hired a climate reporter. Damage Report passed 500,000 subscribers. Young Turks passed 5 million subscribers. We're getting the message out to more and more people. Bernie Sanders comes on in the heat of the primary. He comes on after the election to say what we're gonna do for the future. And then Marie Newman wins. Jamal Bowman wins. Cori Bush wins. And then just when you thought it couldn't get any better, here comes Nina Turner. Hello, somebody. And she's running for Congress, and she comes on the Young Turks first. On election week, we had nearly 2 million hours of viewing. We're #1 destination for progressives. You made all that happen. This is amazing, and thank you for those 2 years. What, I went past 2 minutes? Of course!
Viewers had asked for an interview with the TYT Lizard. Mr. Lizard. Oh, you changed colors today. Nice. I don't even know how you feel about us. Do you even like us?
Well, you guys made me this awesome house, so I'm kind of in your debt. I was found outside on the street, and you gave me a home. Granted, it was a really crappy home for a while, but then through the power of fundraising, I became a person who has a multi-level Trump-style mansion.
You do. By the way, you never looked better, man. Normally, you're just green or just brown, but today you're in mid-lizard, right?
I'm not very smart. I'm a lizard, so I don't know how the science works. I guess this is just my mood. It's not every day that thresholds like this are broken. I'm just so excited. I can't contain my pigmentation.
And now you're showing it off.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never seen the lizard like this before.
All right, welcome back. We got a lot of show left. Do not forget, all right, do not forget, Shop TYT, last day for this massive sale, massive sale. You know what else we got? We got the anti-Karen shirts, okay? Antica, we got them. If you're thinking of gifting your loved ones some progressive merch this year, this is your last chance to receive guaranteed shipping in time for the holidays. Shop TYT has 20% off site-wide, the whole thing. Use code HOLIDAYS, HOLIDAZE at checkout, all right? You got 20% off. You use the code. I mean, at the end of this deal, you owe me money. That's how great this deal is, okay? All orders must be placed by Sunday, December 5th for us to be able to guarantee that, before holiday delivery. Give the gift of the progressive message with somebody you love, or hey, listen, or somebody you hate, right? Make them mad, okay? Membership, your membership helps keep TYT sustainable and empowers us to fight for positive change. You're part of that change. By becoming a TYT member, you'll be part of a change machine that will not stop, all right? Make sure you sign up, join the fight, tyt.com/change. And don't forget reactions with Rayvana right after Indisputable, Twitch exclusive, okay? Very smart, brilliant. Great context in her delivery. Twitch.tv/TYT. Let's read some of these amazing comments. Mickey C, the Silverhaired Dragon says, students are turned down for admittance for a lot of reasons. Right, correct. One of the things they consider is extracurricular activity. That's right, it's not just GPA, it's what you do outside of academics. That's right, you are allowed to consider that. Partying and drinking with the Proud Boys may not be on the list. Neither might flashing the white supremacy sign or watching black men running, then saying he wish he had his AR so he could shoot all of them. They don't exactly equate to being on the debate team. That's very accurate. And I know that Kyle Rittenhouse killed 2 white individuals. He went there to kill black people. So understand, he was going to a Black Lives Matter protest. He went there to kill black folks. All right, Shikata Ganai, I know I said that wrong, but Beer Dragon, all right? Beer Dragon. If I was still teaching at the college level, I would kick him out of my class. By the way, he lied about his credentials, which is in and of itself disqualifying for admission to any accredited college or university. That's 100% correct because it goes to character, you're right. Lynn says, I can just picture Boebert with a big smirk on her face while Omar was playing the threat. Yeah, you felt that too? I felt it also. Just Be Anti-Racist says, look at Representative Omar's eyes. She is terrified and scared. As a mom myself, I'm guessing she's thinking of a family before herself. You're damn right she is. Forbesilla, so Kyle lied and people died. Yep. Mike V. Doc, remember the Gabby Gifford incident? Yeah, threats were ignored then as well. That's right. I think DOJ, FBI, DHS, US Marshal should be involved in taking actions immediately. Goon Italy, Dr. Richie, you and Ms. Turner are dropping the scariest of truth bombs today. Please do not back down. Well, thank you, and we won't. Sweet peas. If I had done what Boebert done and HR got wind of it, I'd be fired. Yep, and you may have additional penalty, okay? Let's be honest about it. Made money in the building. Hey, Dr. Richie, is there a way we can come together and help Representative Omar get this problem dealt with? Also, hello, Ms. Nina, you rock. Let's wait for her direction, okay? One thing we can do is make sure we participate and get more progressive leaders to have her back legislatively. That's something that we can do. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free. Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Do you know where we live? This is Miami, you know. We can speak Spanish if we want to.
Yeah, I don't have to listen to it.
Yeah, you can go outside if you want to.
And you can go to hell.
Okay.
I just said I moved, so I didn't have to listen to you.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
So don't upper your voices. That's all.
It's because you're being very rude because I'm speaking to my mom in Spanish.
I don't really care.
Imagine being so racist that you're a racist against somebody's language. Well, that's actually a thing. It's called linguistic racism. Yep, I looked it up. Here it is in the terminology of linguistic anthropology. Linguistic racism is the use of language resources for discrimination, just what you saw there. The most evident manifestation of this kind of racism are racial slurs. However, there are covert forms of it. Andrea Moro, in his essay, Race and Language, shows that there are 2 ideas which look innocuous if considered as separated, but which are extremely dangerous if combined. First, that there are languages which are better than others. Second, that reality is perceived and elaborated differently according to the language one speaks. He highlights that this linguistic racism was the origin of the myth of Aryan race and the devastating results it had on civilization. So I looked into this essay further. It's quite compelling, by the way. But it makes the case and it shows how individuals who are, let's say, repelled by different languages usually have deep-rooted racial bias inside of them because they believe that their very language is superior to the language of other people, which also innately means that they believe that they are superior to other people. Senator Turner, what are your thoughts?
We better teach, teacher. I mean, and woman, look, learn Spanish if you're so worried. If you think they talk, learn the language, so then you will be bilingual too. No, it's ridiculous what she did in that waiting room, and they weren't even raising their voices when she, that lower your voice or whatever she said, trying to make it seem like they had elevated their voices. Why does it bother her that two people are speaking in Spanish or whatever language? I'm sure if they were speaking French, she wouldn't have had any problems.
That's right. That's the issue of the breakdown of linguistic racism, is that you create value, you attribute value to people based on the language they speak, which is insane when you consider, right?
There it is.
Okay. The rise of anti-Karens. Here it is.
You're screaming at employees at Walmart. Get out of here.
That's racist.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
The United States doesn't have an official language, jackass.
Educate yourselves. You need to.
How am I doing? Am I pretty cute?
You're really close.
Are you afraid? You should run away.
I don't like.
But you have your super mask on.
I'm trying to protect you.
I don't need protection from you.
Oh, you just touched me. I really wish you hadn't.
I touched you.
Here,
I'm gonna get COVID.
No, you're probably going to give it to me. Are you going to leave?
Look at you.
Are you going to leave the store?
Are you going to leave the store? Are you going to leave the store?
You're being very and aggressive to another customer. Would you please leave?
I'm aggressive?
Would you please leave?
Okay. Now, the thing I wanted to say, which you wouldn't let me say, you all in my face, right? If I ever come back here again, and this thing is proven to be a hoax, I want an apology from each and every one of you. See. Educate yourselves.
Wait until someone you know is sick, and then you will see how much.
Nobody is sick, sweetheart.
Go for it.
Educate yourself.
Please leave.
Go online.
Please leave
and
now.
read and learn.
I mean, damn. This particular Karen, her Karenicity obviously runs deep. I titled this OG Karen. She's been Karening for a long time. So this particular Karen, she's upset that other people are wearing masks. That's a personal healthcare decision. You don't see this kind of reaction from people based on healthcare decisions like you do as it relates to COVID. COVID has been politicized, the whole conversation. It doesn't mean that the conversation of COVID is political. It has simply been politicized. Now, this reaction, obviously extreme, ridiculous, and insane. But anti-Karen was there. You know what we got for people? Shameless plug. Let's put up the anti-Karen t-shirts. We got them. If you would like to be an anti-Karen, which by the way, that's the top superhero happening right now, anti-Karens. All right, if you want to be down with the anti-Karen movement, shoptyt.com, shoptyt.com. We got hoodies, we got t-shirts, we got all that stuff. Senator Turner, this Karen was off the hook here. What are your thoughts?
She was. Anti-Karens unite, baby. We need right. you. No, it's like preschool. I mean, she comported herself worse than a preschooler, because we understand why preschoolers act the way that they did. It's the thing we learned in psychology about the id and the ego. But this overgrown woman comporting herself this way was just absolutely ridiculous. And she's never getting an apology. She said that this thing was a hoax, meaning the virus is a hoax, and she wants an apology. She's never getting that apology. Does she not know that hundreds of thousands of people have already died due to complications of COVID? She talking about read and research. She needs to follow her own advice and read and research, but just all up in that person's face like that, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she needs to be careful. She's in a high risk category. She got to stop acting like this. And listen, she may be somebody's grandmother. I get that. I don't like seeing people who have been anti-mask or anti-vaccine contract COVID and die. It's one of the saddest things that I see because it's so avoidable, right? I mean, simple measures to protect yourself. I mean, a mask, social distancing, she decided to violate all of that. And that's infectious disease 101, okay? Think about this, Senator, think about this. If somebody walked into a building and they're coughing, right? Common cold. The average person with common sense capacity, they're gonna try to avoid being around that person because they don't want to catch the common cold. That's common sense. That's not political. There's nothing political about that. But all of a sudden, COVID, contrary to the basic rules of viruses, does not make sense whatsoever until you calculate the political climate that it exists in. And that is it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's all.
All right, we got more. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
You're about to watch some behind the scenes footage of the Young Turks.
Ooh.
Now these are partial videos. If you want to get all of them, you become a member, go to tyt.com/join, and you'll get all the behind the scenes of me, Anna, John, JR, a little bit reality show like tyt.com/join, and enjoy this.
You know what you're seeing behind me? Jersey, hold. Watch me flip this camera. However I flip it. Do I flip it like this? No, I just took a picture. I'm bitzing right now.
What?
Behind the scenes.
Oh, okay. For members? I don't have my face on.
She doesn't have her face on, folks. Oh, that's JR's ass right there.
You can't take 5 minutes off, can you?
No, I can't, Johnny Pie. I said it was live stream, but I was lying. It's not a live stream. It's just for members. Bitsy, this is my cat. You know what his name is? Kiki Cat.
Animals are innocent.
Control room and the insanity is obviously there.
Right now, as you can see, I'm directing or tech directing.
I'm so happy to be here. This is what like a Labor Day beard looks like for Jank. Man, you're a Young Turks viewer if you recognize me like this.
Oh, thank you. You are the one person in my life I would love to meet.
What's going on, guys? This is a Bitsy or a BTS or behind the scenes with Hassan Piker, aka Woke Bay.
Oh, hi, I didn't see you there.
I have finished my show, The Damage Report, and now I get into a really awkward time of the day.
When I'm sitting, the control room is right there. So I can see Bart.
This is the Pittsburgh office, by the way. I referred to often as the boiler room.
You see how it's ripped? Is it super unprofessional to wear that at a business meeting? Or am I like cool rebel?
I just finished doing the power panel and I'm fired up.
What do you do for TYT?
Not a whole lot.
If you're frantically tweeting at us that something's broken, thank you, because I'm fixing it.
And thank you for being a TYT member.
Super last thing, because there's always got to be a super last thing. Oh, that was disastrous. This has been behind the scenes, behind the scenes.
Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Rashad Richard. We got a lot happening today. But what do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back.
Here's the pattern that we see in all of these Karen stories. They think they own stuff they do not own. Now, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe slavery. Maybe they think they should still own black people.
This is what happens when Karens weaponize the police.
When you're used to privilege, equality seems like oppression.
It hits you in a certain way when someone is holding you against your will, treating you like you're a criminal and you're an innocent person. This is something that black people face no matter where they are.
A stronger black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. Don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you.
What's your beef with critical race theory?
It adds more fuel to the fire of the racist tendencies that we already have.
We have a generation of problem solvers that can remedy the problem if they are properly taught what the problem is.
You know who created redlining in this country? It was the white liberal.
I don't give a damn who created it. If it's a racist policy, Shelley, here's what I don't know. I don't know. See, there you go filibustering, brother. You're scared of this truth, but you're gonna get it, though.
Climate is changing fundamentally, extremely, and non-linearly. It's becoming worse now. It's not when the levees burst that is the problem. It's in the anticipation of that.
So I hope every human being is safe. And by human beings, I do not include multinational corporations, especially the ones that started climate change in the first place.
What we're currently doing right now in cutting emissions is clearly not enough. There will be ramifications to what Trump is doing. I don't want people to suffer, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of suffering because we have an imbecile as our leader.
All right, welcome back. We got a lot of comments. Let me read as many as I can, okay? Let's get it. TYT member Shikata Ganai, Beer Dragon. Wow, that Karen would have a field day with me. I mean, I often converse in public in English, Spanish, Japanese, and Korean. She's so proud of being monolingual. And I'm proud of you for not. That's awesome, that's amazing. Okay, YouTube super chat. Jiu-jitsu guy, people who only speak one language making remarks at bilingual Americans is so America. I know, we speak American over here. All right, Bernie the Kiwi Dragon. I was at Heathrow Airport many years ago when a guy took issue with my speaking Cantonese. This at an international airport, I was speechless. That's a damn shame. I'm sorry you went through that. Stoneflower Dragon. I would have slapped her out of my face, and I'm not like that. And don't start being either. We understand the feeling though. Thank you, Ask Auntie Debbie, we appreciate that. Osiris XTV says, high ranking Karen, probably a level 7 to level 8. You're wrong. That's level 10 action right there. Okay. Cooking with Miss D. Look at her. It's not cocktail time, sitting up there bothering these people because she. Y'all gotta stop making me say this stuff. Because she can't get in it. Find someone who can take that frustration off you. I'm done. All right. King T says, beautiful shirts and hoodies, Doc. Mine, been ordered. That's what I'm talking about. That's the spirit. Okay. I have an update. Remember the two Karens, son, mom duo? Let me remind you, because I got an update. Here it is.
You want to know about what I'm doing here?
We just want to know what your job is and why.
None of your business.
Call the cops.
You call the cops?
Yeah, this is not your apartment.
It's not my apartment.
Yes.
I don't need to tell you anything.
Do you have an ID on you, maybe?
I don't need to tell you what I'm doing, because I'm not interacting with you. So call whoever you want to call. Huh? Yeah?
Secure building.
It's a secure building. Okay, so how do you think I got in here?
We don't know.
Did I follow you in here? Dude, seriously? You attacking me? Seriously?
Get that phone out of your phone.
What the hell's wrong with you? You stupid?
No,
Try something.
Stop
Try
it.
something.
Stop it.
Try something. Get
out of my building.
Try something.
Get out of my building.
No, I'll call the cops.
Call the police.
Call the cops. I got it on camera. You attacked me. Call the cops.
I didn't attack the police. I didn't attack
you. You didn't attack me? I got it on camera. Call the police right now.
Okay, we're at 4 Academy Place and River House Apartments. We're in the parking deck. And there's some gentleman down here. We asked him what he was doing down here, and he said it's none of our business. And he's kind of gotten nasty towards us. So we kind of are trying to figure out why this person's in the parking deck. And he will not tell us why he's here. He says it's none of our business.
He's not showing any ID.
Will not show us his ID.
Call
it's
the
a secure
police.
building.
We are.
Call the police.
I'm not security, no. I live in this building and this person's walking around down here.
Please send the police because they attacked me. Send the police.
We did not attack you.
They attacked me. Please send the police to where they're located right now.
I'm gonna call the
Send the
security
police.
officer for the building.
The young brother was actually working. He was working, okay? So there's an update. Now remember, he posted that he did in fact file a police report against this mother-son duo. You clearly see that he was attacked. You clearly see he is not the aggressor. You clearly see he is being harassed. Well, after that violent incident where he was the victim, the update now involves the son that hit him filing a police report and pressing charges. Here's the update.
And he fell. Mr. Blank stated Mr. Martinez then kicked him while he was down. The video Mr. Martinez had did not show him kicking Mr. Blank due to the camera being moved away very fast when the physical confrontation started. Mr. Blank showed me some redness and swelling to his leg. A picture was taken on my department issued phone. Mr. Blank stated he did not want to press charges on Mr. Martinez. Did not want to press charges. Mind you, this is on the day of that he was going to speak with the building manager and courtesy officer because he does not feel comfortable with Mr. Martinez being in the building at all. This guy said in this police report that I assaulted him. But what's even crazier than that was that one part that I'm disclosing like he wants to press charges. This police report says he does not want to press charges. So that means after the video went viral, after everybody seen it and everything happened, he decided, you know what? I'm gonna call the DA because I'm mad at him and I'm gonna press charges using a false police report. Basically using the levers of government and the DA's office and a false police report to try to press charges against me in order to basically try to hurt me for something that he started, he initiated, he assaulted me.
We got you back over here, brother. We saw exactly what happened. Let me highlight the law. This happened in Nashville. Here's the Tennessee law. Tennessee law says those making false accusations can be charged with a Class A misdemeanor, which can cause the accuser to go to jail for up to 1 month and pay up to a $2,500 fine. But here's the reality. The physical assault carries a harsher penalty. Why is it that this guy who assaulted the young man who was working, why is he not being held 100% responsible for his criminal actions? We don't have to apply this law. This is the secondary violation of law. The initial violation of law is what needs to be handled right now. Senator Turner, what do you see here?
You know, it really pains me that folks, black people and other people of color have to have cameras to prove themselves. Can you imagine if that gentleman that was working that night did not have his camera phone on, what they would have been able to get away with?
He would have got arrested. He would be in jail.
Would have. And trying to come for that man's livelihood, I feel his pain on that. And there should be a consequence and some repercussions for what that mother and that son did to him. But I'm just boiling because time and time again, we are constantly reminded that our humanity is not respected and that but for technology, Jesus, it would be so much worse than what it is right now.
Yeah, and let me remind everyone, when a person, when they decide to tell a black person, hey, show me your ID, right? You have no authority. You're harassing the black individual. That's the equivalent of saying, show me your freedom papers. There was a time in the United States of America where if you were walking around while black, any citizen, white citizen, could demand to see your freedom papers. And if you did not produce those freedom papers, law enforcement had a penalty for you immediately. And the citizen could take action against you and have complete immunity, okay? So this is very similar. This is the same ideology. All right, this is a very sad story. Some people say it's a good ending, still sad story. Philly man accused of 6 murders, he didn't do them, has now been cleared, okay? Philadelphia man who was accused of committing 6 murders has been cleared of every single one of those charges, but not after, right? Not before, excuse me. He had to serve 25 years on death row and 30 years in prison totally. Christopher Williams, let's put up his picture with his son, Christopher Hartwell, and his grandson, Salim. Okay, Christopher's son was 6 months old when his father was arrested. This is so sad. Mr. Christopher Williams, 6 murders, convicted, never did him. Never did him. That means a real killer did not have justice applied to them. Okay, no one in the history of the United States has walked away exonerated for 6 homicides, who spent 25 years on death row with 2 execution warrants signed for his death. He was supposed to be killed. Christopher Williams, who was prosecuted for 6 murders but was acquitted of 2 and exonerated of 4, was released from prison in February. He filed a lawsuit Wednesday morning in U.S. District Court in Philadelphia, naming as defendants the city, the former DA, trial prosecutor, and 17 police detectives. Good for him. In his lawsuit, Williams alleged police buried leads. They hid and destroyed evidence of alternative suspects, and they coerced troubled teenagers to tell fictitious stories to fit the evidence. And they did it all to obtain convictions at any cost, despite the truth. The complaint alleges a campaign of coercion by police and prosecutors to obtain false testimony from White, alternately threatening him with the death penalty and promising him early release from prison. Williams is represented by a legal team. The head of that legal team is none other than the big homie Ben Crump, good friend of mine, the high-profile civil rights lawyer who represents families of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. Crump said that as in those cases, Williams' story reflects both a historic injustice and a historical teachable moment for America. Chris Williams is almost like the symbol for wrongful conviction of black men in America. He added, "We have to be better than this. We cannot continue to let racism cloud our judgment when it comes to not even just wrongful conviction, but administering justice." I agree 100%. And I want to remind you all, we do a lot of these stories on Indisputable. You see a lot of these stories on mainstream media, right? And they're out, they're celebrating with family, and they're basically all black people or brown people. Why? You think that's a coincidence? Hell to the no. It's not a coincidence. It's called systemic bias. It's called prejudice in the system. It's called systemic racism. Senator Turner.
And adding to that, Doc, I mean, it's called the legal system working just as it was designed to do. So when people are feigning that they, oh my God, this is happening in America. Yes, it is happening. It has been happening and will continue to happen unless we get the heart to deal with systemic racism in the United States of America. And I believe what Mr. Williams has 26 grandchildren now.
That's right. Yep.
My God. And you know what, Doc, I hope he wins, but you know what? They will never ever be able to repay that man.
Nope.
For the time he lost, because you can't get time back. You can get a whole bunch of other stuff, but you can never ever get time back. And it also reminds me of some similar traits to what just happened in the case against those men in the Aubrey. For murdering Aubrey, we know that the the other folks were involved in covering it up because the father worked for the law enforcement. They did some similar stuff. So I hope that they are brought to justice too. It's two of them right now that I'm aware of, a woman and a man.
That's right. That's right. Barnhill is one. Jackie Johnson is the other. You're absolutely correct.
That's right.
Okay. Imagine, let me put it this way. Have you ever had to take one of those diversity training classes for your job? Okay. You have to sit down in front of a computer. You take the class. It's a bunch of zealous actors, not knocking them, but I'm telling the truth, right? And then you take a test at the end of it, diversity training, okay? Imagine if the people acting are white people acting and pretending to be black people. in the diversity training that you're watching. Well, that's exactly what happened, I kid you not. A company that offers AI diversity training uses white actors to play black characters. Only in America. Mershon tells big corporate clients that its VR simulations will help teach racial sensitivity. But the actors playing as black characters are often white. Well, let me show you a real white man. His name is Mark Atkinson. He's the CEO of the company. All right, he's white for real, right? He's not playing one. A tech company that provides human resources training. I'm trying to get through the story, it's so damn silly. A tech company that provides human resources training to some of the world's largest corporations, okay, has been using white actors to portray people of color in virtual reality situations about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm going to say it because it's true. This is blackface high tech. That's what this is. It gets deeper. The simulations created by corporate education company Mershon are hypothetical scenarios between a participant and animated humanoid avatars. The avatars are played by human actors who follow detailed scenario plans and sometimes improvise, okay? They make stuff up. The Mershon's actors are called simulation specialists. All right. Work alone playing all the roles in each simulation by using a voice modulator and remote controller to switch between characters. As a result, they often play characters of a race and gender different from their own. In simulations viewed by and described to BuzzFeed News, black avatars called out other characters' acts of discrimination, asked participants to rally their companies to support Black Lives Matter, and participated and practice, supporting a traumatized employee through incidents of racial injustice. One involved a scenario in which Child Protective Services removed a child from a black family. In each case, guess what? White actors played the roles of black characters. The CEO, Mark Atkinson, Atkinson, told BuzzFeed News that the company is working hard to improve its diversity and inclusion practices. What? He said, and I quote, "We recognize that as humans, we make mistakes. We're working really hard here. I mean, do you expect us to be the diversity that we teach people?" Yeah, we do actually. How hard is it to find somebody to, literally, they don't even have to act. Like this guy has a whole situation here where all people got to do is talk. You can't find black people to talk? That's what you're telling us. That takes hard work for you to find black folks to talk. Okay. Mershon is well aware of the criticism, but the company says the practice is a key to its mission. It's necessary for our business that one person plays all the characters in a simulation. Otherwise, it doesn't scale. He's talking about money, profitability. Nina Turner, sister, how much is a Z-list actor these days? Obviously, too damn much for this company.
Look, they need one person, they hired a black person.
Right, there you go.
What is so hard about that? You are absolutely right. This is definitely too high tech, black fakes. I'm saying Mark, baby Mark, please don't do this. First of all, your company should give a refund to all the companies that hire you. Right. Yeah. False advertisement. They need to have that fine print. You know that fine print for prescription drugs?
Yeah. Characters may be played by white people. Maybe played. And
when you said they need Tyrone, and we were talking before, right. You are absolutely right. They damn sure need Tyrone in the boardroom, and I can hear Erykah Badu in my ear right now. You better call Tyrone. Come on.
Sister, I appreciate you always. Thank you.
I appreciate you too, Doc.
Tell people how they can follow you.
At Nina Turner on Twitter, at Nina Turner Ohio on the gram, baby, and Nina Turner on Facebook. Come on through. Follow us, sister.
Always a pleasure. All right, we'll talk very soon.
Doc.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken when I first got my license, like 17 years old or 17, 18, whatever it was. And I'm driving, I think, my dad's Oldsmobile. And I parked it in a place where there was 2 cars next to me, really tight spot, and a car behind me. I don't even know how I got in there because I'm a terrible driver. Back then I was an even worse driver. And on the roads I'm okay, but in parking spots I have terrible spatial reasoning and I'm a mess. And on my way out, I hit all 3 cars at once. I broke all records, okay? So I went, as I'm backing out, I went boom, oh and this side hit that car, this side hit this car, and the back hit the 3rd car, okay? And I got stuck. I didn't know how to get out. Like, I went, okay, for this, and then I'm like, no, and then, right? And then finally I had to stop, go inside the KFC and go, A, I'm sorry, I hit a bunch of your cars. They're like, what do you mean a bunch of your cars? I'm like, I don't know.
Wow, there's a B?
Yeah. I'm like, I hit 3 cars. I don't know. So you guys gotta come help me, okay? Okay, so 1, my bad. Really sorry about that. Okay, number 2, can someone take my car out? Because I don't want to keep hitting your cars, and I'm incapable of taking it out of this spot.
Now, baby, move that fat, baby, move that fat.
Hi, I'm Brett Ehrlich with Breaking News with Brett Ehrlich. This is Breaking News with Brett Ehrlich. Hi, Brett Ehrlich here. According to EPA head Scott Pruitt, climate change is not happening. He cited a meme on Facebook he saw. When pressed to back up this source, he said it must be accurate because the watermark said it was made by a scientist. So, your move, Truth.
Do all of you know the Young Turks?
An outlet like yourself that are willing to cover this story from the very beginning and that weren't afraid to say, hey, this is something that is legitimate.
And this is why what Cenk and the Young Turks are doing is so important.
Brent Welder is very progressive Democrat. He's a just Democrat. In fact, uncorrupted, not going to take big corporate PAC money. When did you start watching the show and when did you become a member?
So I've been watching for 10 years, an active viewer, but also more importantly, getting out there with causes like Wolfpack.
By the end of our campaign, we had organized about 22,000 individual contributions with an average about $27 a piece. And those initial people were a lot of TYT supporters as well.
They're looking at the world in a very different way than corporate media does.
It takes those early people who believe that can really be the seeds of this movement, and that has been the Young Turks.
Thank you, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks.
Thank you to TYT and all the progressives around the country that have our backs.
You know, the first and only interviews that we had tonight to be with the Young Turks as well, because you guys have been here from the very beginning, and that's what this night is all about.
And I thank Cenk very much for the very good work that he does.
Thank you so much for all in this together, and the people are so powerful, and we're gonna get it done.
Thank you for your constant support.
It's a pleasure to be with rebels. I like that.
For all of the help that you've given to the Just Democrats, to Wolfpack, to help fellow progressives, thank you guys, to all the Young Turks members that make it possible.
Hey, this is Edwin. Most of you might recognize me, well, not me, mostly my laugh from the main show.
I mean, it's gonna be hard to get the Uygur maneuver on him.
And today, my talent is Rubik's Cubes. You gotta forgive me, it's been at least 5 years since I competed. So that's why I'm actually going pretty slow. Watch this.
All right, welcome back. We got a lot of show left. Let me read some of these amazing comments. And don't forget, shoptyt.com. We now have a lot of merchandise, 20% off site-wide. So there's going to be for everybody in all content. Anti-Karen shirts are available. Last chance, ladies and gentlemen. Last chance. Make sure you get the order in before December 5th so that we can guarantee shipping for the holidays, okay? 20% off the entire site. All right, don't forget, membership, it drives a lot, all right? Be part of that change. We want you to be part of the change, okay? Make sure you go to tyt.com/change, become a member. Also purchase a membership for somebody that you really care for. Reactions with Rayvana is right after Indisputable, twitch.tv/tyt. Very good stuff. All right, let me read some of the comments. V says, Dr. Richie, I love your program so much. My eldest son just came home from school and asked, what was I watching? I told him about you and all your accomplishments thus far. You are an inspiration. And there's something in front of that, so I do apologize. You're an inspiration, and there's something where I can't see. And I hope for my sons to aspire. They were also formerly in care, and I tell them it doesn't matter where you started, but where you finish. Yeah, that's right. You're telling them 100% accurate, and big ups to all of them. Thank you so much for saying that. All right. Mickey C, the Silverhead Dragon. Every false 911 call should carry a very heavy fine. Double each time you do it again. Yep. The Great American Healthcare Family says, damn, Dr. Richard, Karenicity is really a public threat. You and Nita are amazing, and I tune in every Thursday to my professors teaching this college level class, Indisputable on TYT. Thank you. Shakata Ganai, Beer Dragon says, that diversity company just released a full-length film about diversity. The working title was Do the White Thing. Oh, the irony is so unreal. You are the diversity training company and you have white people pretending to be black people in the damn training videos, huh? All right, Mr. J Guns, the blind MC. I'm glad that at least some justice should be served with their brother getting attacked on the job like that. Appreciate you and Senator Turner. We appreciate you. Forbesilla says, you know, that man appreciates every single day of life that he has as a free man, as he always was, yeah. Saniel says, wow, simulated blackface to teach diversity sensitivity. LOL, talk about oxymoron. Who's behind this? Facebook CEO? Okay, Mike Boy raps. I'm not black, I just play one on TV. That's exactly what the company's doing, by the way. Pow Nobody Now says, sad people need a VR game to try and not be racist, and they still effed it up. Like, damn. How you messed this up? It's virtual reality. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bullpen. He's back. In the bullpen today, we have Mr. Albert Eisenberg, Philadelphia-based messaging strategist, co-founder of the nonprofit media outlet Broad Plus Liberty, all right? And all around good guy. We do disagree. He has a long, extensive, impressive resume. How are you, sir?
I'm great, thank you. Not that long a resume yet, but I appreciate you having me back on.
Well, we appreciate you being here. This is gonna be interesting because I hope we actually have some daylight and agreement with this. So we're gonna talk about gerrymandering, all right? I don't want to presume what you know or believe about the drawing and redrawing of district lines. So if you would share your sentiment.
Sure. Well, I have worked on nonpartisan redistricting issues. I recently authored a report available at broadandliberty.com on the redistricting situation in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, known as the Keystone State, from the signing of the Constitution on. So as Pennsylvania goes, so goes the country. I have a lot to say about it, and I've been watching the process play out in a number of states. I think it's quite an interesting issue that viewers should really be plugging into, because the question is, who is represented in government, and that's always going to be contentious from the dawn of mankind onward.
Yeah, it's amazing we still call it gerrymandering, right? Because the name itself implies manipulation and bias, because Governor Jerry, this was in the 1800s, governor of Massachusetts, he did some funky stuff with the lines. And people said, well, damn, Jerry, that looks like a salamander. And it did, right? The way the lines were drawn. And so they just combined the names and called it gerrymandering. So we call it that today. And the name itself is indicative of the bias or political bias that it's connected to. So you're part of some non-partisan groups trying to take politics out of this process. And I don't moralize against Republicans on this without moralizing against Democrats, because the truth is they've done the exact same thing when they have been in power, which is to draw lines that favor them politically, and they dilute the voice of others who may have a different political ideology. So here's my question to you. Now, Republicans have done it the worst. And there's a significant racial bias connected to how Republicans typically consult and do these lines. There are some bright spots, like Michigan, for example. So Michigan, they did something unique. They created this lottery, and this lottery was, thousands of people applied, and they kind of randomly chose individuals who are not political. But you had to balance the partisanship, and then you had to have a certain number of people who are not connected politically to a party whatsoever. And they've tried to limit the politics involved in this. What have you seen are effective solutions to get rid of some of the partisanship involved in how these lines are drawn?
Right. Well, you're never going to take the politics out of drawing lines that determine who is represented in government, because that's an inherently political question. So the point I think it's important is to try to curb the excesses of redistricting, because if one party controls the executive branch of their state government and the legislative branch, which Republicans do in a number of states, Democrats do in a number of states, they are often quite excessive and go over the top in creating gerrymanders that disfavor the other side politically. So I think most states, if I were in charge, I would basically try to set a threshold of competitiveness where at least a certain percentage of your state's districts federally and at the state legislative level are competitive based on the prior elections when you're drawing the lines, and that you have a certain level of representation. So Maryland, Democrats create a 7-to-1 Democrat to Republican map. In Ohio, Republicans created a 13-to-2 Republican Democratic map. I think because more than 2 out of 15 Ohioans are voting Democrat, that is clearly quite gerrymandered, and more than 1 out of 8 Marylanders are voting Republican. And I think you should probably try to set a threshold of at least 2 to 3 of those districts in Maryland, at least 5 to 7 of those districts in Ohio should at least swing towards the minority party in that circumstance. So you want to basically keep the legislature in charge, or create what you call independent redistricting commissions that come in various shapes and sizes in Arizona and California and Michigan, as the one you mentioned. Virginia's has not been a roaring success, and the Republicans and the Democrats couldn't agree, and they walked out and shunted it to their state Supreme Court. So it's really complicated. But there's a number of ways you can do it, either by a commission or legislature. But I think the key is for voters to pay attention and to try to curb the worst impulses, because insiders of either political party, of every partisan group, will always try to hoard and keep power for themselves and for their side.
Let's talk about an industry reality that rarely gets discussed. You know this because you've done extensive research. Typically, these politicians aren't smart enough to figure these lines out. They hire consultants. They hire major companies who are very talented at figuring out how to do this and fly under the constitutional violation rule. And they are very, very meticulous and very good at their jobs, right? So that's one aspect of it. And then the other is this. I don't know how they do it in other states, but I know in Georgia and Florida and Mississippi and Alabama, you're not allowed to use on paper. Now, that doesn't mean it's not part of the conversation, but you can't use on paper anything that identifies to the party or people and how they vote. You can use race, you can use age, you can use gender, but you cannot use party. Is that basically what your research has found too in your states?
Well, it's interesting with a lot of these southern states that were vetted due to the Voting Rights Act, and they were traditionally Jim Crow states. Race used to be a proxy for partisanship.
Correct. That's right.
It is much less so. Well, it is in a black and white world, but now you have Hispanic and Asian voters increasing in Texas and Georgia and Florida. Hispanics, I mean, you say that there's no majority minority districts in Texas and Colorado. They've drawn new majority minority districts. You're just not hearing about them because they're right-leaning majority minority districts. So it's kind of an interesting phenomenon.
Which makes it, by the way, constitutional. That will pass constitutional muster typically.
Yes, it wouldn't pass, liberal media hysterics. It would pass constitutionality.
But brother, and the reason why I wouldn't is because without violating the technical language of the rule, they're violating the spirit of it, right?
Yes, although as you mentioned, which you generously said, there are many ways to disenfranchise people. Not necessarily all of them are based on race, and Democrats are very keen to do so in states like Illinois and Maryland and New York State, which are all going to be radical Democratic gerrymanders. To your prior question, though, I think you want districts that roughly reflect the population, or people start to get angry and feel like they're not represented in government, and that's wrong. And one thing particularly to note is that both Democrats and Republican insiders have agreed to make districts a lot less politically competitive, so they don't swing either way as much. You're seeing a lot more Biden plus 12 than Biden plus 4 districts in states like Oregon and New York State. You're seeing a lot more Trump plus 18 than Trump plus 3 districts in states like Ohio and Florida. So it's becoming it's not a great situation as far as competitiveness.
Yeah, let me bring your attention to Lucy McBath, US Congresswoman. She actually represents a majority Republican district. She's won in that district twice, okay? Majority Republican district, a district that Newt Gingrich used to hold in the state of Georgia. So she's there, she figured out how to kind of crack the code, right? She's a Democrat, a black woman that represents a majority white and majority Republican district. That district still votes for the Republican on the top of the ticket, but they split and still vote for her to be their congressional representative, right? So what happened just a few weeks ago in Georgia? Well, they got together to redraw the lines. You know what they did? They drew the line so massively Republican for her that she now has to step out of her congressional seat to run for another congressional seat outside of the district in order to possibly remain in the US Congress. Now, none of the process, and this is one of my biggest issues, brother, and I want to get your thoughts. None of the process of gerrymandering is transparent. It's all covert. It's done in rooms, sometimes committees, but for the most part, these are private discussions, and then they bring us the finished product or very close to the finished product for the finalization of the vote. Is that not problematic, how the process, 95% of it is private, and then the 5% that's public, the fix is already in?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you bring up that Georgia example, and you're going to see Lucy McBath versus Carolyn Bourdeaux. It should be interesting. Yep. I would say, I mean, a congressional seat is not an entitlement, so it's actually a good thing when you see members having to duke it out and face competitive elections. And this happens every 10 years when they redraw the lines. I would say even when things appear to be transparent, they aren't always transparent. When California's quote unquote independent commission redrew the districts in 2010, there was a ProPublica report afterwards that was really interesting about how Democratic constituency groups masked themselves as citizen activists, nonpartisan citizen activists, and they ended up making much more democratic lines. I think the key is, in the most egregious examples of gerrymandering, the voters should be angry and they should be aware. And it should punish, when you overdo it, when you overstep your authority, you should be punished electorally for that. So I'm hoping that voters in Illinois see how over the top the lines are against Republicans, and there's similar Republican primaries as the Democratic one that you just mentioned. Georgia is not the most egregious Republican gerrymander in the country. Ohio, I would say, is. So I'm hoping voters there pay attention too, and hopefully, there's examples where you never know, because you're drawing these lines in 2020, 2021 for lines that are going to be elected in 2030. So a lot could change, and you hope that man plans and God laughs a little bit, and that at the end of the day, you can't handicap everything.
Yeah, and Albert, I would encourage you to do a little research on Georgia. I disagree with your sentiment about it not being the worst or among the worst. It's not the worst as it relates to congressional districts, but it is among the worst as it relates to state house and state senate. Let me give you an example. The state of Georgia has the largest state legislative black caucus in the United States of America. And some people say, well, wow, that's great. Well, the reason why that exists is because Republicans intentionally drew lines to make sure black folks would only vote for black folks and white folks would vote for white folks, so that they did not have white Democrats in the state of Georgia representing anyone at a state level. So they have consolidated their power in their white structure, and they have alienated black power so that white Democrats could not get elected by the way they drew the districts. And you know exactly what I'm saying when I say consolidating the power. So while that's not a congressional item, it is a state house, state senate item that should be looked at. Also, do you have an issue with the performance of Democrats? You got to look at performance of Democrats over the last 7 to 8 years. They have significantly outperformed, as far as voting blocks are concerned, Republicans. We're talking about nationally, statewide, but because of how districts are drawn, you literally will have states that outperform Republicans on virtually every matrix, and then Republicans still retain power inside of that state because of how the lines are drawn to give them favor in the state legislature. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think my thoughts are that Democrats basically are confronting an issue demographically where Democratic voters tend to cluster. They are urban, they are sophisticated, a lot of them. I mean, there's a few legs of the Democratic voter stool, but the growth leg for the Democrats is sort of upper middle class, inner suburbs, and places like the Bay Area and Manhattan and Brooklyn. And then they have a lot of working class people of color who are actually, they've had a lot of attrition among those voters. Those voters have become independents and have fled towards the Republicans in the last few election cycles, which is something I'm cheering on and hoping the Republican Party can try to represent more of these non-white voters, people of color who are working class as well. The problem Democrats face is that if you look at governorships, Republican governors represent a majority of the country. You're not gerrymandering states. So states are electing more Republicans, including at the legislative level. And of course, when Republicans are in charge, they're going to draw more favorable lines towards Republicans. But that's really the problem Democrats face, and that they're moving backwards in states like New Jersey, Virginia, New Hampshire, Nevada. Kansas has a Democratic governor. She's going to have a hard time holding on in 2022 because of the Democratic Party. That's not due to gerrymandering.
All right, let's talk solution, okay, before we go. My solution is to decrease the politics, because you will never eliminate it totally, all right? But to decrease it, you have a lottery, you allow for people to apply, and you choose individuals based on that lottery. What Michigan has done, I think Michigan's approach is very, very innovative. And you go with regular people and not $1 million consultants to manipulate the lines. What is your solution?
My solution is to probably keep it with the legislature, as the state constitution in Pennsylvania says. Obviously, these are state by state things, right. But if I was advocating for Pennsylvania, I would set a benchmark so that if you have 20 districts, at least 7 or 8 of them are going to be competitive. At least 3 to 4 of them are going to favor the minority party. And then once you set the basic position, once you set the basic floor, then let the legislature do its work.
All
but
right.
Set a floor for competitiveness and for representing the minority party.
All right. Well, we'll see if any one of our ideas take hold.
Nope.
All right, man. Albert, it's been fun, brother. Always good to have you on the show. Thank you for coming back.
Dr. Richie.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, reactions is next. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable. Peace.